soles of my brand new parachute. I got the attention, I'm on a mission. No sweat in the way I step, I got a fresh new attitude. Oh my, 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 oh my, my, my. Call me a king, you can buy me a crown. Oh my, 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 oh my, my, my. I'm leveled up, and this is my world now. This is my world now. So anyone who tried to write me off, tell them they can go and write this down. This is my world now. New look, got the ladies shook. New watch saying it's my time. These magazines wanna feature me, cause they know I'm on the rise. Get the attention, I'm on a mission. Cause ever since I flipped that switch, my power can't be denied. Oh my, 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 oh my, my, my. Call me a king, you can buy me a crown. Oh my, 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 oh my, my, my. I'm leveled up, and this is my world now. This is my world now. So anyone who tried to write me off, tell them they can go and write this down. This is my world now. Get the attention, I'm on a mission. I'm there with a vision. Got a passion, making it happen. Ready for action. And this is my world now. This is my world now. So anyone who tried to write me off, tell them they can go and write this down. This is my world now. So anyone who tried to write me off, tell them they can go and write this down. This is my world now. And this is my world now. And this is my world now. And this is my world now. This is my world now. Hey! Here we go! We coming ready or not, you better steady yourself, because we're raising some hell. There's nothing keeping this roof from blowing on. We're taking over the town, hit the switch and shut it down. Like Indian, we're electric, never stop. We coming ready or not, we coming ready or not. We're giving all that we got, we're giving all that we got. We're coming ready or not. We're throwing gas on the fire, the stratosphere getting
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Our family started RVing a few years ago, and when I think about all those campfires and fishing trips and sporting events, these are memories that are going to last a lifetime. I want to help others do the same thing. Hi, I'm Kevin Smith, General Manager at the all-new Click It RV in Milton Freewater. People in this community are very familiar with this location and the great service they've always received. So the biggest question we get is, where is Keith? The great news is, Keith is still here.
I've seen a lot of changes. I've seen a lot of things come and go. Through all the changes that we have seen, one thing that has not changed for us is the quality of our service.
Buying an RV is a big purchase, but it should be a fun and happy experience. So whether it be in sales or service or parts, our mission is simple: be the best. From our team here at Click It RV in Milton Freewater, we invite you to come down and experience the difference.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're looking live at Phoenix Raceway, the Legacy Track. We were here with the trucks on Monday for the points race of the Northwest Truck Series. And now we prepare for a new era for coverage of iRacing on LSRTV and on the Community Radio Network. Tonight is the debut of the next Gen4 series. It's a 5-week fun series. We're ready to bring it to you this evening. Good Wednesday night up in Virginia, preparing for SRX tomorrow. This is Wesley Outland. Jason Rockefeller is alongside. Charles Wooten is executive director or executive producer. Director tonight is Cody Deemers. And on behalf of Rocket Racing Media, we welcome you to round number 1 of the fun series for the next Gen 4 cars. So, Jason, we had a lot of fun with the RGL GT3 series for 5 weeks. What do you think we're going to have because of a mistake by iRacing for the next 5 weeks with this car, which, by the way, can get up to over 1,000 horsepower?
Yeah, it's going to be crazy, Wesley. I had the opportunity a couple weeks after this quote-unquote mistake by iRacing was made. Obviously, this is what used to be the ARCA car. They accidentally made a mistake where they dropped a 1,000 horsepower old Cup engine into these bad boys, aka the Gen 4s. So they went, hey, you know what? We're going to take advantage of this screw up. Everybody loved it. They got a lot of feedback from the fans and the drivers like myself and others. And sure enough, iRacing prevailed, and they gave us the old Gen 4 car while still separating this car from the ARCA car, having the same body style, obviously, as the Gen 4 car. So good to see this. Obviously, nostalgia for myself and obviously you, Wesley. This is what I grew up with in the early 2000s, all the way up to almost the 2010s before the COT came along in the late 2000s. I'm really excited to see this. I got my chance behind the wheel of one of these cars at Charlotte a few months ago.
Awesome.
when this thing was released. And I tell you what, man, I still don't think this is the hardest car to drive when it comes to the NASCAR side of things. I still think the COT is one of the hardest dang things I've ever driven. But by far, this thing has a lot of horsepower, and it's bad fast.
Well, it's going to be really fun to see how all this entails, obviously, as the numbers continue to pick up with more drivers. And again, this is the car that goes back to the late 90s, early 2000s with the next Gen 4 car. Over 1,000 horsepower, as we see now Frank Harris working his way around the racetrack. And, of course, this is a new series James Vining's put together. They're working on the schedule. They're working on the laps, the distance. All of that is in flux. It might change after tonight as well, Jason.
Yeah, it's a possibility. We have 5 unique racetracks set up for us here for the next few weeks. We have Legacy Phoenix here tonight, which, by the way, if you don't know what Legacy means, it means the front straightaway is the old straightaway. This is a 2008 scan of the racetrack from back right when iRacing was getting started. You see right there, no dog leg. Right there, just what the racetrack provides with the original dogleg grass down there. And then on August 2nd, we head to the old 2008 Atlanta scan, which is what Atlanta was before they added the new Atlanta into iRacing. We'll head there for 80 laps. Tonight's 120. Then on August 9th, we head to the newly founded Chicago Street Course for 35 laps. And August 16th, we head to Michigan for 60 laps. And then to round it off here, for this 5-race fun series, we head to Homestead for 80 laps, and boy, oh boy, that's going to be a handful because you can rip the top groove a lot in these things, and I expect Phoenix to be very, very tricky here tonight. Obviously, having so much horsepower underneath the hood, it's going to be a handful for these drivers here tonight.
Yeah, going to be very exciting. Right now, Joshua Marcy at the top of the board here with a 27.960. As qualifying is just about to wrap up. Sean Brightsman second, Troy Daggett third. By the way, you got guys in the Northwest Series that are literally shaking these cars down. They never driven before. One of the things we'll talk about real quickly is the Kaufman Creative weather conditions. Look at the bottom right of the monitor. 78 degrees, track temp at 88 degrees. I was about to say 88 miles an hour. Wind speed is 5 miles per hour. If we have a wind speed at 88 miles per hour, we're in trouble. That's borderline tornado-esque, Jason, with a 1,000 horsepower car. That might not be a good combination. Weather conditions brought to you by Kaufman Creative.
Yeah, that would not be very fun. That would bring me back to 2012 when Hurricane Sandy hit here with over 100 miles an hour over here. Yeah, it's a twister basically. But I experienced wind speed like that. But sure enough, wind speed not going to be a big factor here tonight. But an 88-degree track temperature definitely might put this track to be a little bit loose for these guys. Obviously, talked about 1,000 horsepower underneath these Generation 4 Cup car machines. So going to be interesting. You don't want to make sure that you're driving too hard off exit of 2 and off exit into turn 4 on exit there because you can get very loose in a hurry and you will go around. Promise me. I will promise you that.
James Vining created this chaos and mayhem, and it's go time here for iRacing at Phoenix for the Northwest. On the pole, Joshua Marcy in the car number 35. To his outside, Sean Brightsman in the 46. He'll pop up here any moment. He'll make up row number 1. Row 2, Troy Daggett, the Fastenal colors of the 99. And Carl Edwards on a throwback. And the Jimmy Johnson Lowe's throwback of the 54, Robert Campbell, row 2. Row 3, Toby Ritters. By the way, there's the Oreo Fritz car of Sean Brightsman popping into the screen. Toby Ritters has got the Reese's car, not sorry, 23. To his outside, Jeff Stabnow. Beautiful looking car on the 24. That's the first 3 rows. We'll let Jason give the rest of the lineup, brother.
Yeah, row 4, you got Steven Paulson in the 58, and then there's the man who started all this chaos there, the Catman, James Vining in a 333 machine. Next row, Frank Harris and Kenneth Garber make up row number 5. And then row number 6, you got Ryan Bloom, Carl Burke in the 53 machine. And then row 7 is nobody because there is 12 cars starting this race tonight. Should be an interesting one. And I will say, I love that Tony Stewart 2010 NASCAR Nationwide Series throwback that Mr. Sean Brightsman's supporting tonight.
I'm loving it. Yes, sir. Always fun checking that out as well. Tony Stewart, I'll be calling his race tomorrow with SRX. And right now, Marcy and Brightsman are on the front row. By the way, remember the Daytona 500 throwback car when, of course, the 2001 Daytona 500 when Dale Earnhardt Jr., correction, the 2001 Pepsi 400 in the tribute for his father when he won the, of course, Pepsi 400 in July. On the front row with Marcy and Brightsman were green flag. Ladies and gentlemen, the next Gen 4 car comes to green. This is going to be fun. 120 laps of racing here at Phoenix. You have a race. They work through the dog leg, and on the jump, it's Brightsman on the outside. Marcy on the bottom. Ritters will follow in tow. Battle for the lead already on lap 1 into 3.
Marcy to the inside right now, trying to make sure he can rotate through the center of the corner just a little bit better than Brightsman, but off the corner, outside momentum. Give it to Brightsman this time by at the line, leading lap 1 of 120 laps here tonight from the virtual Richmond International Raceway. Heading into 1, Brightsman still fighting hard on the top side, while Marcy fights hard on the bottom side with Toby Ritters in tow right behind them.
We're at Phoenix. The dog leg, by the way, the old legacy track is right now, looks like the pole car Marcy falling back. Here comes Toby Ritters. He'll put that car to the P2 spot as they work their way off the corner out of turn number 4. Brightsman leads, Ritters the second in tow, followed by Marcy. 1, 2, and 3. Gamble Stab now top 5, back to 1.
And you're looking at right now another driver on the racetrack. There's Jeff Stab now. He's trying to catch Robert Gamble right now with the 54 machine as they head through the dog leg. But so far, it's all Sean Brightsman up at the front of the field as the 54 and 24 wrap around 3 and 4. Multi-groove racing due to this 1,000 horsepower underneath the hood. And right now, Jeff Stab now trying to run down Robert Gamble. That's going to be for the 4th spot in the 1.
Brightsman, man, out in front. Look at Gamble. Gamble obviously created that RG3 or the RGL GT3 series. Everyone loved that. Look at Stab now bouncing off the wall. The safer barrier there working into the dog leg. We'll keep an eye on the 24 car. Meanwhile, 3-car battle for the lead. Brightsman up in front. Ritters in tow along with Marcy. Coming up behind them is the Lowe's colors of Robert Gamble. There they are, top 4, back to 1.
Marcy looking to the inside right now. Toby Ritters doesn't exactly get to the bottom the way he probably planned it out, entering turn number 1 down the back straightaway through the dogleg. It's been all Sean Brightsman for these first 5 laps here as they work their way into 3. Marcy dives it in very deeply. Looking back, there's James Vining trying to get around Frank Harris. He closes up to his rear bumper here off turn number 4. Could be a pass as they head down the front straightaway, entering 1.
Back off front of the corner into turn number 1. It is Sean Brightsman up in front. Ritters the second. There's the 333 of James Vining. The Catman, of course, he joined us as a pit reporter as Frank Harris bonsais right in front of the 333 of Vining that we're referring to. He's the man that created the next Gen 4 series for the next 5 weeks. And remember, we don't even know what the last 5-week stretch will be. A matter of fact, honestly, I think this will all bring us right back around, Jason, to the run for the championship in the, of course, Click It RV Fixed Setup Series after Labor Day.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Cannot wait to call that, but obviously can't wait to call these Gen 4 cars right now because these things are bad to the bone. They're bad fast. And Josh Marcy talk about bad fast in that 2001 Dale Jr. MLB All-Star Game throwback. He'll look down to the inside of the Kevin Harvick Reese's throwback machine. That's Toby Ritters up on the top side. Marcy dives it into turn number 1, trying to rotate through the center a little bit. Toby Ritters slams the door slightly. Marcy has to get out of gas. Down the back straightaway, though, it's Oreo and Ritz versus Reese's for the top spot, while Brightsman continues to try to pull away, but not just yet. Marcy's still trying to take a crack at Ritters for second.
It's the bottle of candy going at it with a little adult beverage trying to reel him in as well for that 3rd spot with the Budweiser car of Joshua Marcy on the inside down into turn number 1. They work their way off that 2nd turn, coming to the dog leg now. Remember, this is the Legacy Phoenix track. This is how it was back in the day before they reconfigured the facility to what it is now, where the dog leg is actually now turn number 1. The front stretch roars off of turn 4. Now, what used to be turn number 2. And obviously, it's amazing, Jason, just reconfiguring a racetrack, how it changes everything around. We saw something like that similar to, obviously, Atlanta, but mostly Darlington, too, when they reconfigured the front stretch to the back stretch and more.
Yeah, it's so interesting the way that most of these tracks and the way that SMI and all these other corporations have decided, even the independent companies that own these racetracks, they've really been able to step it up, and their racing product has really provided some good stuff. Phoenix is still the old Phoenix. The only thing that's really new, obviously, about Phoenix when it comes to the specifics is obviously the front straightaway is what is the back straightaway for this track. Right here is where obviously the start-finish line would be, and then you'd fan out, and obviously the dog leg much wider, no grass down there, and you can run all the way down there, and 3 and 4 a lot wider now, but still the same racetrack, still the same great racetrack, still the same great Phoenix that we all know and love hosts the finale for the NASCAR Cup Series, Truck Series, and also the Xfinity Series. But it's always nice to kind of come back and see all these old tracks due to the old skids. Oh, Jeff Stabnow around back straight away off turn number 2.
Jeff Stabnow mentioned that he was fighting that car, new to the car, just got in the cockpit to figure it out tonight, and obviously losing it into the dogleg, working off of turn number 2. Here's a replay, but no caution, Jason. We still stay green flag. He's down to the bottom of the apron.
Yeah, and he was down to the bottom of the apron. The reason why there's no caution is because he is off the racing surface. He is not creating a hazard for any on-track activity, so that's why the yellow flag was not thrown by the admins or by iRacing's server detection system for any kind of incidents like you saw Jeff Stabnow have right there. But unfortunately, that's bad news for Jeff Stabnow. Good news for Sean Brightsman, who doesn't have a caution right now. But Toby Ritters is still hanging right there. The gap has dwindled between 5 to 3/10 of a second for the race lead. Everybody, though, still single file. Josh Marcy battling right now with Robert Gamble for the 3rd spot, as Gamble keeps trying to take a crack at him. As we look with James Vining here off turn number 4, continuing to hold off Stephen Paulson in the 58 behind him.
15 laps in now of 120. The Catman, of course, falling back to the 7th spot. 4 seconds back in this position is right now Sean Brightsman continuing to lead the way. And remember, they're going to tweak this series. They're going to make changes. I will tell you this, though, Jason. As exciting as it was watching Shane Van Gisbergen in the driver of the V8 Australian Supercar Series win in the inaugural NASCAR street race at Chicago, and seeing the layout, I am really looking forward to calling an iRacing event on the streets of Chicago. That's going to be exciting coming up in a few weeks.
Yeah, I haven't had the chance to make a purchase for the Chicago street course. Obviously, the thing's been out now for well over a year, since obviously iRacing helped create the Chicago street course with NASCAR and the city of Chicago. That's kind of how they got the layout. iRacing went out to the streets. They scanned the track. They did some reworking. They worked with NASCAR and the city to realize, hey, what could be a realistic layout for us? And then ultimately we got what we saw just a handful of weeks ago for the NASCAR Cup Series and also the Xfinity Series. We saw the very first street race for the NASCAR Cup Series, obviously, which was a barn burner, to say the least, for something that a lot of people were kind of all over the place about. Wesley, I love street racing. I think it's awesome. I'm a big IndyCar fan. So to see the Cup cars and the Xfinity cars street racing was definitely something to see. Never thought I would have saw it, but we had 2 fantastic races there, especially the Cup Series on that Sunday afternoon.
Without a doubt, truly a highlight for sure. Right now we're closing in on 100 laps to go here in this race. We're on lap number 17, lap 18 of the 120 laps that make the distance. This is the next Gen 4 car. This was a mistake by iRacing. Nice way of saying that, am I right, Jason? This was a car that was debuted by mistake by iRacing, and it has got a lot of horsepower, and it is hard to handle, is what a lot of drivers have told me.
Yeah, it for sure has, and like we had stated at the beginning of the broadcast, this was originally a season update on this. This is the same exact body that you see the ARCA car, which was the Generation 4 car, which Wesley had mentioned, late 90s all the way until the late 2000s, until about 2007 at the end of the year when they stopped that and then debuted the COT full-time in 2008 for the NASCAR Cup Series, and then the Xfinity Series continued to use this until 2010. ARCA continued to use it for years and years until a handful of years ago when they decided to go full-time to the Gen 6 type bodies. But the Gen 4 car, lives on in iRacing. It provides, and one car out of shape, James Vining down the front straightaway, hard into the inside retaining wall. No caution because he kept it straight, but that was a hard impact to the left front. Definitely a lot of damage for that driver.
We've seen 2 times now, first stab now, and now Vining, and no caution. We still stay green. Back to your point, Jason, you were saying on lap 21.
Yeah, and, obviously, like I was saying, the ARCA car is the same exact body style. iRacing made a season update. They accidentally dropped a 1,000 horsepower Cup engine into the ARCA car, and people were realizing it and going, wait a minute, what the heck is this? Why am I going 200-something miles an hour down into the corner at Michigan? Why am I doing this? And then it hit everybody, and everybody went, uh-oh, they just made a mistake. But it was a blessing in disguise, sure enough. iRacing listened to the fan feedback. No, don't touch it. Sure enough, they kept the ARCA car, but they gave us this beautiful gem, which is obviously the Gen 4 car that I grew up, knew, and love. In my opinion, still my favorite body style, my generation of car by far. This thing is obviously near and dear to a lot of people's hearts, like myself. I'm just glad that we're able to race it here on the iRacing service.
So phenomenal, so awesome right now. Again, Sean Brightsman, still the man that leads the way. There you see Marcy's car. Right there in the 3rd spot. Here comes now Gamble in the 54 machine down to the inside. The Munster Energy car behind him. Obviously in contention, trying to battle along is going to be Ryan Bloom. Ryan Bloom coming off of his 5th win in the trucks on Monday night right here at Phoenix. Jason, can he take that momentum? Obviously, you're in a different vehicle, and I get that. But can you take that momentum from winning as we see James Vining on pit road? Can he take that momentum and try to sweep here at Phoenix because he won on Monday night in the truck?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, momentum is a huge key builder, and not just racing, but in all sports. You look at football, you look at basketball, you look at baseball. Momentum and confidence is a big thing because when you don't have that momentum and confidence, you're at a disadvantage mentally. And obviously, who doesn't want to come into any sporting event, whether it's real life or virtually like we have here on the iRacing service? You want to come into this event here tonight, and you want to just have fun. You're here to have fun. It's meant for fun, but you want to learn too. Help your craft, show your racecraft, and provide some good racing for the fans watching at home and fans listening as well, But that's the thing. You don't have that confidence. You don't have that momentum. You're not going to go anywhere, fella. That's just the way that the cookie crumbles, unfortunately. So, Ryan Bloom is here, and he has to do his best. And right now, sitting in 5th, doing a solid job right now. This field's gotten pretty spread out so far.
All right, Bruce Nolan.
There you go.
The Bruce Almighty quote right there, so for sure. Brightsman is the leader. Ritter's the 2nd. It's, of course, Marcy 3rd. Gamble is in 4th. Ryan Bloom, your top 5. Then it's Troy Daggett, Frank Harris, Stephen Paulison, Jeff Stabnow, James Vining behind the wall. There's the Press Box Motorsports Podcast, hosted by executive producer Charles Wooten. Details coming soon of the return of that Motorsports Podcast. Jason, you co-hosted that for a while, didn't you?
No, I actually didn't, but I believe it was Brock Pattard, who
Brockton Packard.
Yeah, Brockton Packard. Yeah, who helped co-produce it, and it was an interesting podcast. I really hope it does return soon because I loved all the different guests coming on. I loved Cody, having him on there, and producer Charles, as we all call him. I'm used to calling him Cody, but now we got Cody Deemer, so I guess I have to resort to calling him Charles again, even though I always called him Cody. But I'm really looking forward to it. I really hope it makes the return that it so rightfully deserves and gets the amount of viewers that it deserves, because I know that Charles puts a lot of work into that. He really likes it. He was boasting about it for months and months to us when it was returning, and sure enough, it did, and it was a hit. I listened to it when I was on my way to Florida for a vacation, and it was really fun to listen to. Gave me something to do on my long ride to Orlando to Universal with my buddies, but I absolutely loved it. Hopefully, maybe I'll be on it someday soon.
Brightsman is the man up in front. You see now Marcy continuing to hold off the likes of Gamble as well as Bloom. That's for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And honestly, that's the best battle on the racetrack. Sean Brightsman picking him up and putting him down. 30 laps into this event with 90 to go here. About to be at 1/4 of the way, or 1/3 of the way through here. 40 laps coming up on the board in about another 9 or so. Brightsman the leader. Ritters, Marcy, Gamble, Bloom, top 5. They work their way off the dog leg. Back into the corner. Aerial coverage presented by your home for sim racing. LSRTV and live simracing.com. I'm Wesley Outland, Jason Rockefeller alongside. Of course, Cody Deemers is director tonight. Well, we welcome you to the era of the next Gen 4 car. So far, honestly, I don't see anybody, going out of hand with this car right now, Jason. I honestly think they're just trying to figure it out. They're just kind of trying to just see what these cars will be able to do. A lot of these guys have just jumped in the cockpit of their iRig right out of the gate with this tonight, like literally an hour ago.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, I did that a few months ago, obviously, for that Charlotte. I just did a practice session. I was not jumping into an official race with these. They obviously have the Gen 4 Cup Series is what they call it, I believe, on the iRacing service, but I was able to do it here. I was taking a look at a replay, and what do we have here? One car going through the grass, the legend Frank Harris. He was able to save it. I guess he channeled his inner Bo and Luke Duke there from Dukes of Hazzard going through the dirt right there, coming on through into turn number 3. But that's the thing, man. These cars are just so dang hard to handle. They might not look like it right now, but you put a bunch of them on a restart. Right there. Perfect example. Robert Gamble lose through the dog leg, which you do not see that nowadays. But because of the amount of horsepower these things have and how hard the tires wear, it's just very, very difficult. And 2 things to point out. 1, best lap time right now of the race happens to be Frank Harris, 28.076. Last time around, the leader ran a 29.473. So in just 35 laps, these cars have already fallen off with the tires by about over a second and a half. And speaking of tires, somebody I know obviously in the chats asked when the estimated pit window is. Got some information earlier from James Vining, said that he only did 1 stop during some testing, so it's looking like possibly going to see some pit stops around the lap 60 mark, because it's only going to be a 1-stop race. Think about it, you're cutting it in half, so expect some drivers to come around before or on lap 60.
And obviously, with this being a 120-lap race, you're thinking these next Gen 4 cars will probably be able to go about 60, 65 laps on a tank of fuel.
Yeah, more than likely, and that's the thing is who's going to bite the bullet and come to pit road first. I mean, Toby Ritters has been faster than Sean Brightsman some laps by 2 or 3/10 of a second, but just cannot keep the consistency. If he kept the consistency, I think he really could reel in Sean Brightsman, because Brightsman is nowhere near as fast as Toby Ritters on the long run, but because Toby Ritters keeps making so many mistakes out on the racetrack, he loses all of the ground that he gains, which is enabling Sean Brightsman to keep that comfortable 2.5-second gap. So we'll have to see which one of these drivers inside the top 5 kind of bite the bullet first. They're all separated right now by about 5 seconds total, as the gap from 5th place Rob Gamble all the way to first of Sean Brightsman, and then you get back to Troy Daggett, it begins to be 11 seconds or more. So which one of those guys around the lap 60 mark is going to bite the bullet first?
Sean Brightsman still the man up in front of the car number 46. Toby Ritters is in second. Force, we're getting ready to put 1/3 of the way through on this race right now. For 40 laps in, 80 laps to go, obviously. The new next Gen 4. Wow, Sean Brightsman there just a little shot away from hitting the wall there from the safer barrier through the dog leg there, Jason. And, man, that would have been a tough break for the leader, but just missed it, just smidged it. That's a real word, by the way.
Yeah, it is a real word. But Sean Brightsman, man, even despite being the only guy out there pulling out to over 2.5 seconds, he's learning this car, man, because if he gets into kind of like a lingo, where there's maybe some late race yellow, maybe we do have a caution, he's going to have to learn how this car is going to handle from the short to medium to long length run if we have a caution possibly before the halfway point. So we'll just have to see. And Toby Ritter's still right there in the wings last time around, a little faster than by almost about a tenth this time by 29.437 for Brightsman, 29.616. So point proven. Toby Ritter's a little faster than Brightsman some points of the race so far, but then unfortunately, just because of inconsistency, cannot make that gap up. But here's a great battle right now. Josh Marcy and Ryan Bloom just cannot get away from each other. These are two guys who compete, I should say, in the Northwest Click It RV Fix Series, who have been very fast week in and week out, and they're continuing to show their speed here tonight as they work their way into one.
All of this continuing on again as they work their way back in the corner. Off that dog leg now, off of turn number 1 and 2. Just a unique racetrack here, obviously. This is the legacy track. This is what Phoenix used to be before it was reconfigured and all of this. And I like the reconfigured track. I've done some races. I know, Jason, I know you have as well. But here's the historic one. Here's where it all started for Phoenix. And, you know, of course, now this is the backstretch, of course. And work here into turn number 3, which is turn 4, coming down to the start line. Totally reconfigured everything. The dog leg is right between turn number 1 and 2. And Sean Brightsman, there you see the interval, almost 2.5 seconds behind Ritter's. How about Toby Ritter's, Jason? Give some props to the Reese's car. Not sorry. Doing well. Toby Ritter's in the 23 and second spot tonight.
Yeah, I wonder if Toby Ritter's likes his Reese's chilled like I do, because Reese's are always good regardless of what they are, where they are, what flavor they are. I am a sucker for peanut butter and chocolate, so it's awesome to see that number 23 machine absolutely digging here in the Arizona desert, and obviously throwing it back to Kevin Harvick when he drove the 29 Reese's car. Also drove the 21 in what used to be the NASCAR Busch Series, now known as the Xfinity Series. Drove that 21 back for RCR along with the 29 in the Cup Series. Ran that Reese's scheme that was oh so famous, oh so beautiful. Loved the bright shade of orange with the hint of yellow on it with the little swirls and whatnot. And I tell you what, for a throwback race, all we need now, Wesley, would be the bridge, the little underpass that they used to go under right outside.
The pedestrian bridge.
Yeah, the pedestrian bridge back in the late 90s.
Exactly right. I just put that back, and I remember as a kid watching the Copper World Classic back in January. If you remember back in the day before racing season officially fired up with Speed Weeks and, of course, the Rolex 24 Hours at Daytona, the Copper World Classic used to be really exciting and fun. What do they have? The USAC cars, the Silver Crown USAC cars. They had the super modifieds, and then of course, they had like the Winston. What were those cars? Kind of like Formula 2000 cars. And then of course, when the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series was created, then they started bringing in the Truck Series and the Winston West, which is kind of like the Arca Menards West Series. Now, let's look out. Hold on there. Nice save by Marcy. But yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, it's so neat to have the technology that iRacing has with scans. And this is the great thing, because remember too, and I mean, this is also bringing it back to this year as well. You think about preservation racetracks, there's a bunch of tracks on the iRacing service that just have tracks that don't exist anymore. You think about one of the latest ones, Myrtle Beach Speedway. Myrtle Beach Speedway is no more. That racetrack was thankfully scanned by iRacing years ago, and thankfully we have it and we can race on it virtually, even though it is no more in real life. I really wish I could have gotten a chance to go down there and see a race, because I know that was a very fan favorite track. But you look now too, North Wilkesboro all started with iRacing with its revival, and sure enough, it's just because of Scan got enough traction with fans and iRacers alike, and sure enough, SMI picked it up, and Marcus Smith and them, they did a lot of work. Dale Jr. helped out, and a ton of people put that group all together, and sure enough, racing was revived in Wilkes County this past year, and also last year with the modified tour as well. So it's good to see North Wilkesboro back on the track. But that's the great technology that iRacing has. We can go back and look at these old racetracks like the 2008 configuration of Phoenix.
Yeah, it's very fun to see what we've been able to do and come, and obviously continue to never forget the memories of Myrtle Beach Speedway. Having the privilege and honor to announce the Myrtle Beach 400 for many, many years before it shut down. Obviously, big modified shows and things with NASCAR, and then to see where it all closed up shop there during the COVID years, and obviously Steve and Jacqueline Zachariah stepped up and got Florence up to try to give some kind of a remedy to the dormant Myrtle Beach Speedway, but it'll never be the same. That 5/8 mile, one of those special tracks, as you said, Jason, for sure. And honestly, if you think about it, we panned an aerial view of Phoenix Raceway and Myrtle Beach Speedway. Look at it from an aerial view. It would look kind of the same way. You're exactly right. You took the word right out of my mouth, brother.
Yeah, they're definitely the same, and that was the great thing about Myrtle Beach is it was such an awkward short track, but it was so bad fast. So many drivers loved it. The tires wore out there so much, similar to how the track used to wear out a lot here at Phoenix, and they still wear out a lot here at Phoenix. Not so much with the Cup cars nowadays, but with cars like this, with the Gen 4 cars back in the day, they used to shred, man, and I mean shred. And sure enough, that was because of the high horsepower, also because of the track surface, but just because of the tire that Goodyear used to bring. So it's been really fun, obviously, to see these Gen 4 cars on track here at Phoenix. You know, even for a car count we got, this is still one heck of a show to watch. It's always nice seeing these cars back on the racetrack right now. As you look at Josh Marcy, he's fallen into the clutches of, that is James Vining, who's currently a lap down, entering turn number 1. Marcy, he's been kind of just slowly staying inside the top 3, top 4 all night long. And Ryan Bloom, he's closed the gap in a little bit on Toby Ritters for the second place right up ahead.
We'll pause for 10 seconds of radio identification from Phoenix Raceway. This is iRacing on LSRTV and the Community Radio Network.
Community Radio Network, WCRN 87.9 FM, Clayton, Garner, Raleigh, North Carolina, USA. We are CRN.
Top of the hour, midnight officially. July 27th on the East Coast, 11 o'clock Central in the Central Time Zone where the LSRTV headquarters are in Texas. Of course, I'm Wesley Outland, Jason Rockefeller. We've got Cody Deemers, our producer tonight. Executive director, of course, is Charles. Let me fix that. Director is Cody Deemers. Executive producer is Charles Wooten. Want to make sure I get the titles correctly. I've been out in the sun too long. It's been a long day preparing for SRX tomorrow in Virginia here, Jason, and we're ready to come to halfway here in the first ever Northwest Next Gen 4 Series race. What's your take of it so far? And no yellow flag yet. A couple of spills, but no cautions being called. What's your take?
Couple spills, couple thrills, but I tell you what, we're going to have some green flag pit stops here in just a handful of laps. If that is the case, in fact, Frank Harris currently on pit road right now. A couple guys who've already made their stops. Troy Daggett, he's made his stop, currently sitting in the 7th spot. James Vining, despite the damage he took earlier, he's one lap down, but he took a pit stop earlier, obviously, to repair some of that damage. So I expect some of these guys to be pitting here at lap 62 or maybe a little bit past. Thought they were going to pit beforehand, but only a one-stop race for these guys. So expecting some green flag pit stops pretty soon as we look with Ryan Bloom, that number 25 Monster Energy machine, continuing to try to chase down Toby Ritters, who's been super-duper fast all night long so far out of the 58 laps we've put on the board.
There you go, man. Time flying by, and for sure, what an opportunity we've been seeing with this driver of Sean Brightsman. He has been the class of the field. We're starting to see now green flag pit stops. Stephen Paulison just before halfway, coming down to pit road to the 58 car now, Jason.
Yeah, he takes 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles. He's going to be out and away this time, even though he's going to be one lap down, so he's going to need a yellow flag if he wants to try anything to try to get back on the lead lap. But he's going to have to pass James Vining first, who's one lap down currently. Now he gets passed by Frank Harris back there for position. So we will have to see. But looking right now, there is the 99 machine. Troy Daggett, currently the first guy on the freshest set of tires out of the guys who've pitted once. There goes Frank Harris. You just see right now, looking into the corner, Wesley, look at how much tires mean just into the corner. Frank Harris, and on exit, tires mean so much. And the 99 almost up and into the wall off turn number 2. There goes the 58, Steven Paulson, trying to continue his march towards the front to get back in the lead lap. And Jeff Stabnow around again through the dogleg down the back straightaway.
Trav having trouble trying to get it off of the well, they're going to show a replay here. If they found out if they threw a caution or not, we'd have to wait till it pops back up on the screen. But you see where Stabnow lost the handle here. And it looks like he's back rolling again, and we will stay under the green flag. No caution in this race as we are seeing green flag pit stops begin. And in doing so, as Gamble comes down to the pit road, he's in the top 5. These cars are losing ground on Sean Brightsman, and they're easily falling a lap down or more for being in the pits there, Jason.
Well, I tell you what, Wesley, heads up move by Toby Ritters to come into the pits. He was losing a little bit of time, but because he came in now, he's going to be able to gain a little bit of time on Sean Brightsman due to those fresh tires. So if you're Sean Brightsman, you better pit pretty soon because fresh tires are going to mean everything. We've already seen it. The lap times are almost 2 seconds of fall off with just 63 laps banked onto the scoreboard right now. So heads up move by Toby Ritters coming to the pits. And here comes Brightsman finally coming into the pit road this time by.
So you got to wonder if maybe Ritters went for the undercut on the 46 of Sean Brightsman, and will he capitalize on that? As now it's going to cycle back around for Troy Daggett to become the new leader in the 99 whenever he comes on to the pit lane. There he is right there in the turn number 3 area. He's not pitting yet. No showing signs of stopping. Brightsman is still the leader on pit road, but not anymore, as now Daggett will bypass him. And let's be honest, Jason, with the exception of getting a couple of dash wins in the fixed setup Xfinity car and the trucks in the same time this year, Troy Daggett's kind of had a dismal season. I'm just being honest.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. There was a lot of guys on the opening week of Daytona, and Troy's actually going to come in this time by to take his second set of tires, 3 sets behind the wall here tonight. So this is going to be 2 out of the 3 sets going on that number 99 machine. So he's going to 2-stop this race to see, but I wouldn't know about pitting right now, considering the fact that everybody else just pitted. So odd call on Troy Daggett's part. But let me go back to that point you made, Wesley. And back at Daytona, I believe, if I'm correct, because it was so far back, I think Troy Daggett was the only driver. Obviously, there can only be 2 winners for both duels, but for the trucks and the Xfinity series that we run, or the fixed setup series, I think Troy Daggett won both the truck duel that he was in and the fixed setup duel that he was in. So besides Daytona for that opening week here for the Northwest Division, not really much that Troy Daggett's had happen for him. He's had a lot of tough breaks, and hopefully he can turn that around pretty soon here in the season.
Brightsman, the leader right now in that number 46 machine, obviously coming down to the pit lane, cycles back around. Toby Ritters tried to go for the undercut, if you will, Jason, but fell short, and he's now 2 seconds back, 3 seconds back on Brightsman. They're back on the lead lap, by the way. 7 cars are now, as we see Vining on pit road, Jeff Stabnow on pit road. Daggett is now on the pit lane. He's a lap down. And all of this going on now as we are flag to flag. I'm amazed, Jason. I'll be honest with you. It's not that we've seen some cars lose the handle here around the racetrack. But with that being said, there has been no caution flags. These drivers, some are definitely new to this car. They are literally green, if you will, not knowing what these cars will do, how they'll handle, used to this horsepower. And we've not had any caution flag, of obviously yellow flags presented by Virginia811.com. Call before you dig for a caution summary. And we haven't had one yet.
Yeah, no, we haven't had one yet at all. As you look right there at the Virginia 811 call before you dig.com information for the caution summary. No cautions, no caution laps, obviously. Only 2 lead changes. And that's when Brightsman went up to the lead. And Toby Ritters was obviously there as well. But besides that, not much has really happened besides Sean Brightsman maintain that lead. Toby Ritter's having a bad fast car, a couple instances and hiccups for both James Vining, Jeff Stabnow, Frank Harris went through the grass like Bo and Luke Duke. Just a lot of unfortunate events here, but I expect this race to possibly get pretty racy. Remember, one caution could change this entire race here, so we'll have to see as you look at Robert Gamble loose off turn number 2. He is under fire right now from Ryan Bloom heading into turn 3. This is the battle for third.
Closing in also on 50 laps to go. As right now, Sean Breitzman is continuing to pick him up and put him down. Now a 3-second lead over Toby Ritters in the 23. The 46 and the 23, first and second. Gamble in third. Bloom, there they are. Third and fourth. That battle's off the dog leg going to turn 3, Jason.
Down into 3 they go, sailing it off in there. Robert Gamble drifts up to the wall. That opens up the door for Bloom. He tries to make a look. Not enough. Tucks back in line. Hits the start-finish line this time by into turn 1. Bloom with the outside momentum. Going to try to carry it. Gets really tight off turn number 2. Barely hits the wall. But Gamble loose off 2. Down the back straightaway through the dog leg entering 3.
Breitzman, Ritters, Gamble, Bloom, Marcy, top 5. Harris, Paulison, Daggett, Vining. 1 lap down. Daggett a lap down. Stabnow multiple laps down. He's on pit road. He's in 10th. That's the way it stands right now. As we are approaching 2/3 of the way through in this green flag so far race for the debut of the Northwest Next Gen 4 car. Jason, obviously, we've got this race tonight at Phoenix. Was it Michigan next week? I believe it is at Michigan. I think.
Atlanta next week.
Atlanta next week. So Atlanta, you got the Chicago street race. A lot of things that we're going to have to really prepare for, and I hope that we get more cars. Obviously, man, I want to see obviously we had between 16 and 20 for the RG3 or the RGL GT3 series. I'd love to see us try to get up to that for this new program.
Yeah, I hope so as well. Maybe a lot of guys too are just looking forward to certain racetracks too. I mean, Atlanta is a bad, fast racetrack. We all know that is probably, besides Auto Club, on the iRacing Yeah, no, not at all, brother, for sure. I mean, right now, these guys last pitted around the lap 60 mark. Your leader, Sean Brightsman, pitted a lap 63. He's fallen off over a second from what his best lap time was now. Last time around, ran a 29.248. So everybody running around that lap time bracket, to say the least. These guys are going to need a caution if they're going to want to catch Sean Brightsman. And the question's going to be, will anybody have anything for him? We saw the start of the race. It was very clean cut. Everybody showed a lot of respect, but there was a lot of sideways, a lot of wiggling going on down to 1 and off 2 down into the dog leg. And it was a battle between Brightsman and Ritters, a couple other guys too. But will anybody have anything for Sean Brightsman? And will we have a yellow? That is what we're all waiting to see here as we hit lap 85 out of 120.
We've not done it. Let's take a commercial break. Obviously, we have a long green flag run. We'll go extended. If anything happens, we'll break through. This is coverage of iRacing on LSRTV and CRN, the debut of the new Next Gen 4 car here for the Northwest Series at Phoenix.
At Click It RV, we know there's a lot of heritage and history at this location. RV sales and service has been part of this community for decades. We knew there was an incredible opportunity here, but to see where we've come in just a year is incredible. None of it would be possible without the patronage and support from this community. So whether it be a more convenient and accessible service drive, a fully stocked parts department, or this amazing sales facility, what drives this team daily is making sure our customers leave here with the best possible experience.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com. Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Closing in on the home stretch of the inaugural debut of the Northwest Racing Series Next Gen 5 car. Welcome back to coverage of iRacing on LSRTV and the Community Radio Network. I'm Wesley Outland. We, of course, have Jason Rockefeller alongside. Executive producer is Charles Wooten. Director is Of course, Cody Deemers. I finally got it right,
There you go.
Jason.
There you go, man. It took you a little bit, but we were able to get there, man. Just like we're getting ready to see who's going to end up winning this race, and so far it's looking like Sean Breitzman, unless there is a late race yellow. We'll have to see. Ryan Bloom, by the way, fastest lap of the race, a handful of laps ago after he was able to put on that first and only set of Goodyear Eagles if this race does go to the end. All the way to the finish, 28.046 for Mr. Ryan Bloom. I believe I might have said somebody else's name, but Ryan Bloom right now, fastest lap of the race, sitting in third, trying to run down Toby Ritters. It's been all Sean Breitzman up at the front here tonight, Wesley.
It has been, definitely. Sean Breitzman, man, drop of the green, jumped out in front, never looked back from the outside pole position, and you see him now literally putting himself in the catbird seat to be an historic night as the winner. Hey, Toby Ritters, don't count out the Candyman. Obviously, we call him Clifford, but the Candyman, the Reese's car, is doing really, really well. I know that obviously Rose Ritters and the entire family got to be cheering on Toby right now. He sits in that number 2 spot. Ryan Bloom sitting in third. By the way, the series next week will be at Atlanta. The Chicago Street Race on deck as well, coming soon. And then, of course, they'll wrap it up at Michigan and Homestead. Those are your 5 races. And then, as we mentioned before we went to break, you literally got to reset from this fun league, Jason, and you got to get serious because you've got to put yourself in one of the Fast 12 or Fast 20 to make the playoffs.
Yeah, and obviously we talked about it too. 2 weeks' time when we get back to what we've all been waiting for this long break after Labor Day. It's going to be very, very interesting to see what our playoff grid is going to end up being. We've seen a lot of guys be super dominant this year. We've seen a lot of guys had some shining moments. We've seen drivers like Toby Ritters be super duper strong. Practically, if you really want to call him the fan favorite, because that's basically what he is. He's been really improved over the last season, both in the Truck Series and also the Fixed Series from the last year. Obviously got that win last year at Talladega in the Truck Series, so maybe something that he could do. We know that he's been very, very strong at those restrictor plate type tracks, so we'll have to see. But he's also been very, very good on the 1.5 miles. And obviously racing all these different series, it doesn't just help him because obviously we don't go back to driving these cars. We don't go back to driving the GTD cars. This is all for fun here over the off season before we resume what our current season is for 2023 and try to finish out and get to the playoffs and whatnot. But this time for Toby Ritters. This is good seat time for all these guys. They could focus on their lines, their draft abilities, their physics and seat time, like I talked about, craft and tire management. It all helps and it all makes you a better sim racing driver. And who knows, maybe we could see Toby Ritters up at the front of the field again once we do resume the Northwest Click It RV Fixed Series.
We're watching all. Yeah, I'm understanding that Jeff Stabnow out of the race again. Obviously, problems for the driver of the number 24 out of Billings, Montana. Jeff Stabnow out. Breitzman the leader. Ritters in second. Bloom is third. Gamble the fourth. Marcy top 5. Daggett 1 lap down. I'm sorry, I forgot all about Paulison. Paulison is in 6th. Thank you, Cody. We got Daggett now 1 lap down in 7th, followed by Vining in 8th a lap down. Harris is on the racetrack 1 lap down, and Stabnow is out. So far, no cautions, and 100 laps are on the board, Jason, and we got 20 to go here at Phoenix.
Yep, this time by 19 laps to go, about to go up on the board now. And over the line, there it goes. Sean Breitzman, 19 laps to go. Going to have to see if we do get a late race yellow, but the battle that's starting to shape up right now looks to be between Toby Ritters and Ryan Bloom. He's been a little bit faster than him by about a tenth or two every single lap. Ryan Bloom back by 1.1. Now it's almost under a second gap here, coming to 18 laps to go. So Ryan Bloom has closed that gap in under a second now to Toby Ritters. He's going to try to see if he can run after Ritters to take away that second position.
18 laps remaining. And, of course, watching the driver, Sean Brightsman. Does anybody got anything to beat the driver of a number 46, Sean Brightsman? Man, Toby Ritter's 7 seconds back. I know he tried to go for that undercut, Jason, but it just didn't work in his favor because he started free-falling immediately after that.
Yeah, well, really also, it's also a heads-up call by Sean Brightsman to notice that Toby Ritters was in the pits because, like I had talked about, when those green flag pit stops had happened and Toby Ritters being the big story coming into pit road earlier than Sean Brightsman trying to do that little undercut, you could say, and he tried it, and Sean Brightsman stayed out for a lap or two, but it just wasn't enough. Toby Ritters was able to close in about 3 seconds of that time. But after the tires equalized, Sean Brightsman just lights out, man, and away he went. He's trying to go home tonight after this race and eat some Oreo and Reese's, even though it might be too late. Don't want to have nightmares with too much sugar in your system. But, Sean Brightsman has been lights out all the way tonight, from green flag all the way to the 16 lap to go mark. He's been super, super strong. Toby Ritters has been strong. Everybody's been very strong. Not a lot of mistakes here tonight. Only but about 3 drivers, being Jeff Stabnow, Frank Harris, James Vine. Those are the only 3 guys right now from what it looks like. All lap down also as well as Troy Daggett, who's been solidly just quietly running in the 7th spot.
There you see Ryan Bloom, of course, picking up the win in the trucks on Monday night. Of course, he's got now... in the last 3 or 4 weeks, 3 wins in the last 5 weeks is what I was told. Obviously keeping up with what he's done on the Monday series. And Ryan Bloom comfortably in 3rd. I'll be honest with you, Jason. I think Sean Brightsman went to the drawing board. He went to the drawing board, not Big Bird. He went to the drawing board. He has been doing relentless R&D testing. And I think that he has figured this car out amongst anybody else here tonight. That is why, and I'm going to say it, Charles Wooten, don't get mad, he is the cat's pajama here at Phoenix.
Well, I don't know what that means, and I'm not even going to ask, but maybe Sean Brightsman went to that old Chip Ganassi racing tunnel, that little used to be a tunnel, and then Chip Ganassi used it as a racing tunnel. For top speed. Look up that on the internet, by the way, for anybody wondering what I mean by that. Very interesting story to follow up with. Yeah, basically. Oh my goodness. Sean Brightsman, though, has been lights out tonight. He definitely did some wind tunnel testing, virtually, possibly, but he's been so fast here tonight. He wants to go to bed, have some Oreos, some milk, and have a couple Ritz crackers with some cheese, maybe. We'll have to see. But 12 laps to go, man. It's been all him all night long. But still, though, Ryan Bloom, this is going to be an interesting battle for the podium. He's really closed in on Toby Ritters now. 0.5 of a second now. Back to that 23 machine.
Yeah, got to ask him for sure what their thoughts are watching all this go on. Is Sean Brightsman, Toby Ritters, 1 and 2. And yes, we are approaching 11, now make it 10 laps to go when they come back to the line. They come to the line, there's your top 5. Sean Brightsman has this race in the bag, if you will, Jason. As long as he doesn't make a mistake, give the win to the driver originally from Puyallup, Washington. Now, ironically, from Arizona, he resides in Tucson.
Yeah, hometown for where Alex Bowman lives. Unfortunately, he is not an Arizona resident that has a win here at this track, but tonight Sean Brightsman very well could do that. We'll have to see. This time by at the line, 9 laps to go. Continues to stretch that lead more and more every lap. It is 9 seconds, almost to 10 here as he works his way into 1. But right now, looking at that battle, what could be for the 2nd spot. Toby Ritters has held it all night long, but it could diminish here in just a matter of a few laps because Ryan Bloom is right there, and he has closed the gap. 0.6 of a second, coming to 8 laps to go this time by.
Time running out. 8 to go. Single digits on the scoreboard, obviously, and history being made by one of the greats of the Northwest Racing Series. You look at what he's done in the Cup Series. Obviously, a back-to-back champion, of course. You look what he's done for many, many starts. running Northwest competition, one of the people that really back what the Northwest Racing Series is to make it premier. Of course, Sean Brightsman. There you see Ryan Bloom. He's in third, and he is trying to make a run for second on Toby Ritters. This is probably the best battle on the racetrack as we approach 7 to go out of turn 4.
7 to go this time by. The gap is not really lessened, but under now almost 0.4 of a second. Bloom got a really good run off the exit of turn 4, and entering turn 1 gets a little too deep for comfort there. But off the corner, Toby Ritter starts to slide the rears. Ryan Bloom closes the gap just a tiny bit here, coming down this time by. 6 laps to go with Bloom back by 0.4 of a second. Now make it 3, entering the center of 3 and 4.
6 laps remaining. Here they come to the line. There you see them crossing the stripe. Brightsman has a almost 8.5 second interval over these drivers that are right there nip-tuck with one another. Within the crosshair, cat's whisker. Here comes Bloom. Can he get after Ritters? Ritters wants to have a great finish as a runner-up here. And they come to the line, and Brightsman already at the stripe, and 5 to go here at Phoenix. He's already back off into turn 1 and 2.
Yeah, and the battle, though, continues to be between Bloom and Ritters. Just nothing Ryan Bloom can really do. He closes, he loses. He closes, he loses. It's kind of a very even match between those two. Toby Ritters faster than Ryan Bloom by exactly 0.2 of a second last time around. Lap traffic gonna be in the way in front of these guys. Possibly, I believe, Stephen Paulison, maybe another car, but down the front straightaway with 4 laps to go. This lap traffic in front of Toby Ritters could play a factor if he's gonna sit second or third on the podium here tonight.
4 laps to go, over 4 miles remaining. Ritters right there in second. Man, he's holding his own, pulling away from Ryan Bloom. Be honest with you, this race coming to an end, and it looks like it's going to be flag to flag, caution free as well whenever we get done here tonight. By the way, only an hour so far in race time, 57 minutes so far as the laps continue to tick away here. Oh boy, look at Ritter starting to get sideways there for a minute as Ryan Bloom looks on with 3 to go.
Bloom just continuing to reel him in and then loses him a little bit. It's like trying to reel in your first largemouth bass possibly down at the local pond. And Ryan Bloom is continuing his march towards Toby Ritters, but with 2 laps to go, I just don't know if it's going to be enough. Toby Ritters has done such a good job all night long hanging on to that. But as they come around 3 and 4 for the second to last time, Sean Brightsman is going to see the white flag this time by in that 2010 Tony Stewart Oreo Ritz throwback.
Look at the 1 to go now for the driver, Sean Brightsman, working his way down into the dog leg. Boy, I think he's toying with us, Jason. I really do.
Oh my
Fighting
goodness.
that car as he works into turn number 3. Oh, I think that was the only scare we got from him, as he will be the inaugural winner in the next Gen 4 Series 5 race fun tour during the summer. Sean Brightsman winning here at Phoenix. Time of race 59 and 15 seconds. 59 minutes, 15 seconds. Jason, there goes Toby Ritters across the line. He's got to be ecstatic. A runner-up here in this race tonight for this new series over Ryan Bloom, bud.
Yeah, and you know what, too? Despite being a fun race, despite being in a car that the series doesn't normally run, despite being 10 cars, I believe I might have already said that, the thing is Toby Ritter's been working on his craft. He's been working really hard in this simulator, and sure enough, comes home second tonight, and he was able to fend off Ryan Bloom, and I don't think Toby Ritter's hit the wall once tonight. If he did, he just kissed it barely. With the right side of that number 23 machine. What a great drive by him, and what a dominant performance by Sean Brightsman. I believe, if I am correct, he led almost every single lap. If not, he did tonight at Phoenix. What a drive by him.
What a phenomenal job. Sean Brightsman will celebrate. There he goes. And if there's any cars left over, let's tear some stuff up here now with our Northwest High 5 Next Gen 4 salute. Pardon the pun. Catch that? That should be. There we go. Oh! His shots landed. Ryan Bloom with a first death punch, if you will. Frank Harris with a glancing blow.
Oh, boy.
Strike two. I had more fun calling this.
This is a demo derby now, man. This is like, oh my goodness, what a hit right there. Steven Paulison just killed Sean Brightsman virtually.
Talk about his virtual bell, right?
Oh my goodness, rang his virtual bell. He's got a virtual concussion, I think, after that one.
Any other takers? Do we have any more? I think everyone else is.
Oh, there you go.
There he goes. Frank Harris says, no, allow me. Frank Gamble. Robert Gamble. Look at him. Oh, wow. Did you see Gamble right up the wall? Oh, that's awesome.
Goodness.
I love it.
Goodness.
I love it.
That's the great thing about iRacing physics. You could absolutely destroy the heck out of these cars after the finish of the race.
Destroy the hell out of these cars and hit the escape button after and start over. That's right.
Yeah. We've seen cars fly up in the air countless times over and over again after the races in the Northwest Division. We've seen cars go to space. We've seen cars disappear. We've seen cars end up in the grandstands. We've seen cars end up in the medical center. It doesn't matter. It's always cool to see those things after the race.
Medical center. Let's take a look at the results here tonight from Phoenix. Sean Brightsman. Obviously, when the overlay pops up on the screen, your results, please. Here tonight. Did we lose Cody? Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm understanding. We'll have to call out the results here. Having some overlay problems. Sean Brightsman will pick up the win. Toby Ritters is in second. Ryan Bloom will finish third, and Robert Gamble fourth. Joshua Marcy, Jason, your top five.
Top 10 tonight, you have Steven Paulison there, finishing sixth. Troy Daggett, seventh. James Vining, the man who started it all, he comes home eighth here tonight. Frank Harris, ninth. And then first car really out of the race tonight, Jeff Stabnow comes home 10th. And the two cars who did not start a lap of the race tonight, Carl Burke and Kenneth Garber, finish 11th and 12th here tonight at Phoenix.
Time of the race, 58 minutes, 15 seconds. No caution flags. But, hey, real quickly, we will have a mention of the Virginia811.com reminding you to dig with care. Call before you dig, because I am, ironically, in Virginia. 2 league changes, no caution laps, no cautions here at the Legacy Phoenix. Coming up, we'll take a break. We're going to come back, grab our top 3. Brightsman, Ritters, Bloom, they're on deck. We'll wrap things up here with the new fun Next Gen 4 series. We'll preview what's to come next week, obviously, as we'll get ready for Atlanta and more. Don't go anywhere. We're back for more in a moment.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
History-making night for the next Gen 4 car for the Northwest Racing Series. It's caution-free, less than an hour to run 120 laps. Again, I think they're probably going to have to go back to the drawing board and work on some things as this is a new series. But when it's said and done, Sean Brightsman picks up the win here at the Legacy Phoenix International Raceway. Let's grab now the third place man, Ryan Bloom. Ryan, you won here in the trucks on, of course, Monday. What was your take of this new next Gen 4 car? Obviously, could you feel going 1,000 horsepower?
Yeah, you definitely could feel that big difference. Yeah, today was the first time I've even been in these cars, so I took a little different approach today with limited car count, but just trying to ease my way in, try not burn up some stuff, but didn't really seem to matter. It just gets to a handful to a point where it's just they get really loose, kind of tight and loose at the same time. But no, it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot just driving those 120 laps, and obviously Sean's fast enough where you can't dig too big of a hole. So I was a little too patient there in that first run. But then I compounded that with sliding through my box on my pit, and then from there it was just there was no way I was gonna catch Sean and put any pressure on him. But it was a lot of fun, and hope we can get more guys out. It's a lot of fun to drive, and appreciate James putting on the series. So hopefully see more guys out next race.
And Ryan, obviously, you come home third tonight, man. I said it earlier. This car is a handful to drive. You talk about it being a handful. In my opinion, I still think the COT is harder to drive, in my opinion. What would you say is the hardest thing? Another car, or would it be this thing?
Well, probably a little biased, but yeah, right now I'd say this. It's been a long time since I've done the COT car, but these are hard to drive, especially on cold tires. That could be definitely a handful. Yeah, one reason I wanted to just kind of ease my way into it, get a feel for it. But these are a lot of fun. I mean, they're challenging too, so it's makes it kind of fun, and really learned some things throughout the run there. Hopefully it can carry on to the next few races.
Would you say unofficially, Ryan, they need to go back to the drawing board and kind of work on some things? And what would you recommend, without getting yourself in trouble, that you think they should do?
Oh boy, it's hard for me to say. It's just not limited time in here, but I probably just need to drive it a little better, honestly. But
gotcha.
I mean, other than the horsepower, I didn't really feel a big difference to just the older ARCA car.
Gotcha.
But you can definitely feel the horsepower, so it's probably just a matter of getting used to it for me. Probably too early for me to say.
All right. Sponsors, man. Thanks for being on.
Well, like I said, thanks to James putting this on and having this little fun series before we head back into the Xfinity Fix Series. But I just want to thank Click It RV and you guys, LSRTV, and hopefully see you guys next week.
Ryan Bloom, winner, of course, at Phoenix in the trucks. He's got 3 wins in the last 5 races. Man, second of the points of the Monday series, and, of course, settles for third here tonight at the debut of the Northwest Next Gen 4 car program. Let's go to the runner-up, Toby Ritters. Man, I know this is going to be like a win for you. Candyman, no longer Clifford in the red car. What's your take of how things went here tonight, buddy? Tried some strategy. It looked like you were kind of trying to go for the undercut to make a move on Brightsman. Things just didn't fall that way, but I know you got to be ecstatic because it's like, it's like a win for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a win for me. I'd really like to get one of those truck wins. But I did everything I could to try to get Sean, and I was trying different lines, and he's fast. There's no catching him. I hit my pit right and everything, and I figured I might come out in front of him, and I didn't. I seen him jump out in front of me, so good. He did a great job.
And Toby, congratulations, man, on finishing second. We know how hard you've been working, and we praise that. We've been praising it recently. Obviously, you've been jumping into different cars. We saw the RGL GT3 series that we ran. Now we're seeing the Gen 4 Cup series that we're running here. How is this obviously playing into effect into your sim racing style? Because it sure enough is putting you in a lot of seat time and learning your craft better.
Oh, it's helped tremendously, and I'd like to thank Northwest Racing for putting those different series on, because it has helped me a lot in my trail braking and everything else. And a lot of these guys are given a lot of helpful tips, and James and Robert Gamble, and I mean, even Frank. They're all helping me out a lot, and especially my team when it comes to these ovals.
I'll tell you what, Toby, obviously, man, it got to make you think driving this car and seeing what you did. You get about 20 of these guys out here all at one time. You think you can hang with them and be able to give a fight for Brightsman for a win soon.
Yeah, eventually, Wesley, I'll get to that point. He's really good at those long runs, and that's what I'm fighting right now, Wesley, is with my saving my tires and knowing when to save and when not to. So I'm trying to learn how to balance that all out, and I'm getting closer each and every week, and eventually I believe I'm going to be getting some wins. So thanks to my team and everything else, and everything that Northwest Racing's done for me.
All right, brother. Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That is Toby Ritters, and obviously second place here tonight in the inaugural debut of the Northwest Next Gen 4 Fun Series again. And we're already talking about scheduling laps and cutting laps or keeping laps the same. See, they're already going behind the proverbial drawing board to try to find a way to make this thing better. Let's go to Victory Lane. Historic racer of the Northwest from Puyallup, Washington, originally. Ironically, from Tucson, Arizona, where the track is in Phoenix, Arizona for the virtual sim. Sean, congratulations. Another historic win in your amazing Northwest iRacing career.
Yeah, thanks, Wesley. It was a lot of fun. Nice to take home the win. I definitely didn't think that was going to be the case in practice. Definitely thought Ryan or Toby, they were both fast, so was going to grab that win. But I'll take the first one.
And Sean, congratulations. Obviously, bringing home the first win for this new series, or fun series, you could call it. And obviously, a lot of these guys putting themselves into this car for the first time, and your first race driving this thing, man. What was your favorite thing about it?
Just how hard it is to drive, to be quite honest. It's I know you put a comparison out there to the COT. It's, as Ryan said, it's been a long time since I've driven that. But to jump in this after running what we normally run, it's like putting 10,000 horsepower underneath those rear tires and just trying to go down the turns. So a lot of fun, a lot of managing tires, throttle. It's just fun, at least at Phoenix here. We'll see what Atlanta brings next week, but it's just a fun, challenging deal for this little off weeks until we return to the Click It RVB Fix series. And just can't wait for the next few weeks of this.
I'll tell you what, Sean, in closing, man, you got a little sideways there the last couple of laps remaining. Were you fighting the car, or were you kind of toying with us a little bit, brother?
Not toying. I set myself goals. So I saw where Toby was at, behind me there.
Sure.
And I wanted to make sure I got to 10 seconds out. So I was just trying to manage that portion and see if I could get there and drop those lap times a little bit at the end. Because I just ran out of the pits. I was basically saving the whole time. So until a charge would have shown up, then I might have pushed it a little quicker.
Gotcha. All right, man. Well, listen, it's on to the next one. We'll see how Atlanta will turn out for you, man. It's a track you know very, very well because you're kind of used to driving these type of double dog leg tracks, man. Thank your sponsors, and we'll see you next Wednesday night.
I just got to thank Brights Boutique, everybody at LSRTV, James Vining for putting on the series, Ace Tech for putting a prize out there for the series. I look forward to it. Any of the announcers, broadcasters, or anything want to pick my next paint scheme, go right ahead. Just has to be NASCAR approved, LSRTV approved.
You know what I'd love to have you have? Can I call you out on this, Sean? Can you do it?
You can't do it on a radio or a broadcast here. Send a PM and we'll surprise everybody next week.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't want to get you in trouble right out of the gate. Okay. Thank you very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen. There's the thoughts again of Sean Brightsman. I will message you, by the way, the idea for sure. Jason, we're going to jump off here, man. I'm going to give you a good night's rest before I prepare for SRX announcing tomorrow, man. Always fun working with you. This new Next Gen 4 series. Cody Deemers did a great job filling in for Charles Wooten on directing this event. And your final take on things here as we'll wrap it up at Virtual Phoenix.
Yeah, I'm excited how the race in Atlanta is going to be here next week. It's going to be interesting to say the least. Hopefully, we can get some more cars out here. I really enjoyed watching these things in action. I hadn't really watched them. I've only driven the car once, seen a couple clips here and there. But to say the least, it was fun to call. And congratulations to Sean on winning, and obviously the top 3 finishing on the podium. And hopefully Atlanta will be a barn burner like it always is next week.
Don't forget, coming up next week again, Atlanta. And, of course, remember, this is the fun series. This will lead us up to the return of the run to the championship of the playoffs, as we were all talking about. Coming up, of course, after Labor Day holiday break. The run for the title will be something to watch. We hope that you can enjoy it. Of course, we'll have coverage of iRacing on LSRTV and on the Community Radio Network. Thanks, as always, to Rocket Racing Media, of course, for Jeff Stabnow, Charles Wooten, executive producer, for director Cody Deemers, for Jason Rockefeller. This is Wesley Outland. Congratulations again. Sean Brightsman, winner tonight, race number 1 of the new fun series with the Next Gen 4 cars of the Northwest. We'll do it again next week.